What's up, everybody? Jason from Jason's Exotic Reptiles. Today, I'm going to give you 8 pro tips on how to go to a Reptile Expo as a buyer. Before we dive into the video, let's check out this guy I have right here. His name is Chester. He's been with me since 2016. He was just a purchase I got at Petco. I've always wanted an anathoristic corn snake, and I don't even know if he's pure anathoristic. He might be anathoristic and hypomelanistic. Not actually sure. If you guys in the comments section know what type of corn snake he is, let me know. Is he just a simple anathoristic? Is he a charcoal anery? I don't know. He's just my pet. He's not a breeder. He's been with me for a while, and he's going to stay here as my pet. I have no intentions of breeding him, but out of curiosity, I'd be curious what he actually is for a morph. I've been getting asked a ton over the past couple weeks, a few months, on how to prepare for a Reptile Expo as a buyer. This video, I really want to give you these 8 tips, these things that I brainstormed on what you should look for and things you should be mentally prepared for even before you walk into the expo. So you make sure you walk out exactly with what you want, nothing else, and you meet your expectations. Tip number 1 is set your budget. Going into a Reptile Expo or preparing for a Reptile Expo, one of the first things I think about is what is my not to exceed number. This is so I can go in and I can just have that in the back of my mind of, if a price is $1,000 and my budget is $800, I'm not spending it. It's really important to not get overwhelmed by the expo and to get sold by certain things that you may see and you could maybe stretch. You need to know exactly what your not to exceed number is. So this is going to be unique for everybody. I cannot tell you what this number is, but you really need to have that in the back of your mind at all times, well before you walk into the doors, because it's easy to get caught up into the whole glitz of things and see all these different animals from different breeders, and all of a sudden you're spending $1,500, and you really only had $500 to spend. So set that budget, know what it is, and be firm with that budget. Be realistic with the budget. If it's $500 and you see the right thing and it's $600, then your budget's not $500, it's $600. So be realistic with your number and really hit that. I will not exceed under any circumstances. Even if it's the perfect, most ideal animal for you, I'm not going to reach beyond this number, and that's your walkaway number. Pro tip number 2 is to go into the expo with intention. This is important also, just like budget, so you know exactly what you're looking for. I rarely go to an expo with an open mind and just looking to see what catches my attention. There's usually something targeted that I'm looking for, and it does play into that not to exceed number. Pro tip number 1 is to understand exactly what you want, because there's so many animals there and you want to make sure that you're not getting caught off guard. You start buying things that really have no place. So it's okay. You don't need to say, I'm going to go exactly for this one animal, but you need to know a range of things that might fit with what you want. It's different if you're a pet keeper versus a breeder, but either way, especially when you're a breeder, you want to have this kind of general range. And if you have one specific animal, then that's the one specific animal. But you need to understand exactly what you're going in there looking for. Keep in mind that it's okay that if they don't have what you want, to walk out and not purchase anything. But you need to keep those 2. I'll keep them as point number 1 and 2 is know your budget and know what you want. Pro tip number 3 is to research the breeders and people who are going to be vending at this expo. Most of these expos have a fantastic website that lists all the breeders and vendors who are going to be there. They list links to their website, and you can understand who you might want to target. So when I go into the expo, I always look at the expo, I go to their website page, I figure out the list of folks who are going to be on there vending, and see if there's anybody who catches my attention. Sometimes there's going to be people who I want to avoid, and other times it's a whole group of people who I want to talk to, figure out what they have. Going back to point number 2, pro tip number 2, is with your intention and understanding what you're looking for. A lot of the times I'll try to target who may have this. I'll reach out to them ahead of time, and many of these breeders are very happy to give you a pre-show discount because they know that if they bring this animal to the show, it's already sold, and all they need to do is meet up for you. It helps you by giving you a little discount, saves on shipping, and you can see the animal in person, but it also helps you to make sure that if somebody has what you're looking for, they bring it to the show. I don't always bring every animal I have. There's been numerous times where people have come to the expo, they've said, yeah, I saw this animal on your website, but I didn't happen to bring it with me. I brought 2 other similar ones. Or the animal they were looking for sold at the expo before they got to see my table. If I arrange a pre-sale, or I know this person's coming looking specifically for something I have, I can make sure I bring it. You don't always need to purchase in advance. Sometimes you can just ask me or whoever else you're going to see at the expo to make sure they have that animal with them. And that's something I can easily arrange and do, but I need to know you want it, and so don't these other breeders. Otherwise, you may not be finding what you're looking for, especially if you've done your research on that one breeder that may have that target animal. Pro tip number 4 is to keep biosecurity in mind. This is something I'm always thinking about when I'm going to a reptile expo or pet stores or anywhere else where there could be potential diseases, parasites, and things like mites. I want to make sure that I'm being conscious of this, not putting things down on the floor of the expo. I'm not putting things on people's tables. I'm not holding animals unless I have full intent to purchase. That's probably one of the most important tips for your general housekeeping, and not so much expo specific, because you can apply this to pet stores, or if you go over a friend's house who have reptiles. You need to be careful that you're not going to hold something or put something down on the floor, buy bedding, and all of a sudden you bring home a mite or you bring home animals with diseases because you did something that could have been prevented easily if you were just thinking about it a little bit more. Pro tip number 5 is to bring something to carry your purchases. Now, people go to expos for all different reasons. It could be just rodents. I typically get my rodents somewhere else, although I have purchased from expos in the past. But when you go, you need to make sure you have something to carry the animal or animals that you may purchase. Now, for me, I've gone to reptile expos and walked out with nothing, and I've also walked out with 16 to 20 animals. I did not bring something to carry those 16 to 20 animals, so now I'm looking around to try to find boxes and different bags, because most breeders are just going to give you a bag to carry the animal, and that's great if you're getting 1 or 2, but if you get 16 or 20 animals, which I don't know if many of you will, but if you do, you have multiple animals, maybe you pick up some feeders in the process, your hands get full and it becomes pretty unpleasant to walk around the expo and actually enjoy it once you have all this stuff to carry. Something you can do, but it still needs something to carry, is to ask the breeder to hold it at their table until you're ready to leave. But it's still a long, hard trip if you're walking from the expo to your car, especially if you buy from multiple breeders, to be picking up all these bags at the end, and you're juggling them, you risk dropping the animals and injuring them. So make sure you bring something to carry. That will stem on your intent to purchase. If you're just looking for one animal, maybe you can walk out with it in your hand. If you're looking for animals and feeders, you might want to bring a dolly and put it in your car or your truck. That way you can wheel it right out. Something like that is important to keep in mind as you're attending these, because it's really just unpleasant to walk around and try to juggle all this heavy or expensive stuff and risk dropping it. Tip number 6, and this really goes into tip number 1 and 2, is don't get sold. It's really easy to walk around and get overwhelmed, start talking to a breeder, and all of a sudden your plans have changed. So you really need to know your budget and what you're looking for to make sure that you're not getting sold in a direction that has no correlation to where you wanted it to head. Now, keep an open mind at the same time. Breeders are not always trying to sell you their animals. Sometimes you speak to a breeder and you can get excellent information that may change your mindset, which you want to make sure it doesn't change your budget, but it may change your mindset towards what you thought you wanted versus what you actually want. That's the importance of researching prior to going and trying to get that really good understanding of what you intend to breed and what you intend to buy. Going into the expo, it will be really hard to get sold on something if you know exactly what you want. So keep that in mind as you go. Use the breeders at the expo and leverage that understanding of what you may want, but keep in the back of your mind that you know kind of what you're looking for, and you should know your genetics, get that education from them, but make sure you're not getting pushed into a path that you didn't want to go because they're trying to sell their animals to you. Pro tip number 7 is to network. Talk to a lot of people, talk to the breeders, talk to different vendors, understand what they have versus what they could have coming, especially if you're a breeder, but even if you're just a pet keeper, there could be something 6 months from now, a week from now, 2 years from now that you may want to go into. It's great to grab their business card, and sometimes you bring a little notebook, write down who they are, what they have, and what they might have in the future that could catch your attention. I always have new animals coming, and just because I don't have it at the expo doesn't mean that you shouldn't talk to me, especially if you can't find what you're looking for from somebody else. I might have something that I just didn't bring, or something I have coming in a few weeks or a few months, and that could be exactly what you want. So talk to these people, get an understanding of what they work with and who they are, and maybe you build a relationship with them that lasts a really long time. It's always nice to have that connection with these folks and be able to understand, can they help you out in the future? Is there a question you have? Maybe they're a great resource. Maybe you just dismiss them as somebody you would buy from because you have some type of a rumor that you heard from others, but you talk to them and that rumor goes away. Get your own experience from these people. You'll understand who you could buy from in the future and who you may want to buy from at the show. Pro tip number 8 is to just have fun. These expos are there so you can learn, interact with people, and see some really cool animals. If you're not going there to have fun and you keep it strictly business, this is my budget, this is my intention, this is who I'm going to speak to, you're going to miss out on the whole enjoyment of going to an expo to begin with. You don't need to buy everything at the expo to have fun with it. I've gone to plenty of expos and just went to look around, talk to people, and walked out with nothing in my hands. Every expo I go to, I almost always have an intention. I have a budget in mind. I usually have cash on me, which we've covered in other videos. But you really need to go with the primary purpose of having fun in the whole process of what you're doing. If you're not having fun with reptiles and in this reptile hobby, you're in it for the wrong reasons. So make sure you're having fun. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next video, let's keep it moving.